All right, what's up, y'all? What's good? Black Hippie Jesus, Kwame Selassie here. Just want to talk about finish the series. I'm not sure when I will finish this series, but I'm doing these talks about what happens after you die. Because I died when I went on a Buvo trip. I experienced death, and I seen a lot of the processes from that experiences of what happens when you die. Um, so I want to continue talking about this. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about, or this segment, I want to talk about what happens after you die, the reincarnation. Why? I'm not going to say I believe in reincarnation. I know reincarnation exists, or it does happen, um, but it's all up to you. Like I said in the first video, what happens if you die? These things you choose to go back and get reincarnated. So, um, I explained in other video how that you have an ancestral team, their ancestral kingdoms. That's where some they feel like it's their job and their duty to stay on the outside, and they might be reincarnated later once the job and mission was finished. That the chosen one of the ancestors have to perform. That all of them behind, or the few of them that are. So the ancestors stand behind. They stay and they build like an ancestral kingdom where, they travel back and forth to watch over the lives of their descendants and make sure that they fulfill some progression in the family, in the family, or the family mission, or whatever it is that's the spirit team's mission. So either ancestor, spirit team, there's beings that are guiding your life, helping you on the most part. If you're one of the ones that are sent back, the beings are guiding your life, and they're trying to make sure you fulfill that mission. Now, why am I talking about this? So, all right, when you're reincarnated, you come back for a reason, and that's the thing I want to talk about today. When you are reincarnated, you come back for a reason, right? You come back because you're on a soul journey, and you need to learn a lesson or do something to ascend to the next level. Okay, so so the only way you can leave this planet, leave this earth realm, is to learn these lessons, or and then to progress forward in your soul journey, so that you can continue to become whatever it is that you're called to become, that the Creator, the Source Light, has predestined or designed for you to ascend to, right? To ultimately become a consciousness yourself, like I talked about in another video. What does God want? He wants you, or it wants you to become a consciousness, like it, and create your own universes and worlds, and that is the goal. Is to eventually become a bodiless consciousness, where you then create or fix universes, or you implant yourself in universes. So it's just that's the goal. But to get to that point, or whatever it might look different for different people. Some people may not want to become a conscious. Some people might want to be in the light council. There is an internal realm, which I'm gonna talk about on another video. But on this video, I want to continue to talk about the reincarnation. So it's a soul journey you're on to some endpoint. I don't know what that is for you. You got to find that out. Everyone must find out their ultimate goal. I know my ultimate goal, the progressions of my soul journey. Like my experience tapping into this fifth dimension. I know my past, I know my present, I know my future, like even my far future. I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm in sync with all the me's are in sync, past, present, and future. Okay, so all of them are linked. So now I know my soul journey. I know exactly what I need to do, and I'm after that like a hawk now. And that's why my life has completely changed and shifted, because I understand my personal soul mission, and I've learned all my past life lessons. Like everything that I've did in my past life, I learned. I learned it. I understand what it was that I did when I started this thing. I did something, and I started this thing. It's very bad. And I spent my whole lifetime fixing it and changing in the process. Like I'm growing every single lifetime. I become better. I die, I come back. I die and I come back. I die and I come back. And I get better, I get stronger, I get greater every single time. And that's what's supposed to happen. When you die, and you go into the light sends you back, and you're to do something. But sometimes, and this is where the message gets serious here. People don't fulfill their mission. They don't learn the life lessons because they don't even understand this concept I'm talking about. Christianity kind of tricked people into, becoming better by using a deity or what we call the demiurge in Gnosticism, using it to control your life as opposed to more enlighten your life. So now that we are in more of an enlightenment stage, the age of knowing, you can ascend without that particular context, being in that particular system. I mean, so the goal is to progress through lifetimes, is to progress to become the ultimate you, whatever that is. And we're in an interesting moment in history where it's very, very possible because we have access to higher dimensions. We're actually going to higher dimensions as a entire people. We're awakening. However, you have to really find out what it is you're here for, your soul journey and mission, the lessons you have to learn so you can ascend out of here. You don't want to keep doing this death and rebirth thing. Some people think, "Oh, I'm not going to hell." No, that doesn't mean go live it like an idiot and not learn your lessons. You still got to learn the lessons, man. You're going to keep coming back and learning the same lessons. Or you can make a decision, say, you know what, I want to go to the dark side. Now, that's a whole different thing, which I might talk about in another video, the dark side. There's so much more I got to talk about. It's really, I'm really redefining, it has been redefined for me, the afterlife and, not what I believe anymore, what I know to be true for myself. So, after you die, you have to fulfill your soul journey. You have to do something. You have to complete this thing. You can't just keep dying and coming back and dying and coming back and not growing. You're gonna just be. You're gonna go to the dark side, right? You're going to not progress, and you're gonna go backwards. So you're not progressing. You're going backwards. So if you go backwards, you're going into a darker hell state, right? If you're not growing, you're just going backwards, and you're going to become something opposite than what you are. Now, if you make a conscious decision to go on the dark side, dark path, and go into dark black hole energy, which I'll talk about, that's a different thing. But you got to make the choice. So if you're in between, you got to choose light. If you're inside, you're battling between good and evil all the time, you got to figure out how to get past those demons, those things that we call negative energy. Because in this age of ascension that we're in, we're rapidly moving, right? And there are ways and paths you can take to progress in your soul journey, and that's what we got to get into. So part of that is really getting over those things that are hindering you in your personality, as far as like that might be destructive or damaging, or just keep you back from ascending the higher so you need to be. So to end this cycle of death and rebirth, you have to ascend to a certain point, and you have to learn all your life lessons. You have to tap into learning these lessons. Right? It's so important to open. I say start to open up your Akashic records, to look and learn your past, do some past life regressions, hypnosis. There are things you can learn. You can learn that, hey, yeah, I did this. It happened here, and then you look at your present self, the thing you're dealing with now. And so that's what, so you can see yourself as a new person in the future. So just saying all that to say, it's all about the progress you make in every single lifetime. And to not make it too complicated, just to kind of simplify it here, the only thing you really should be worried about is are you growing? Minus the reincarnation stuff, minus everything else, you have to grow. If you don't believe in that, it's like, what are you doing if you're not learning life lessons? If you're not growing and becoming better, what are you alive for? Like, really think about that. So if you're not trying to transform and develop into a new person, and what are you doing? You just exist. You're just taking space on this planet. Or if you're in the dark side, you go the dark route. You go the left-hand path, man. You do what you got to do. But you can't just sit here and do nothing. And it's like all these people in the middle. That's why Jesus talked about his mysteries in the scripture, right? I'd rather you be hot or cold, but you're lukewarm. You don't do anything. I will spew you out my mouth, right? So, not that you're going to hell, but that's what it's like. Okay, just imagine, you wanting some cold water after, you want to drink some cool water. You drink some, and go drink the water that's just warm. It's just, room temperature warm. Or let's say you need some hot water for tea, and the water's not hot. It's lukewarm. You can't make any tea with it. So that's what that water is like sometimes. Like that's what life is like sometimes for people who don't do anything. They're just sitting out. They're not going one way or the other. They're not on the left or the right. They're just lazy. They're just not doing anything with their life. So we have to just continue to progress. And if we're not, we're going to come back. Or I just wonder if I should talk about this now. I think I'm really random, but I think I'm going to extend this a little bit longer. It's a few more minutes. Let me talk about this part. Okay. When you die, the state that you're in, I just want to talk about this for a moment too. This is why progression, I'm tying this into progression and what happens when you die, and why all this is happening. Like, why do you have to be reborn and so on and so forth, right? Or that's if you go into the light and want to come back. Because everyone comes back to give it a shot of change, but most people continue not to. Now, here's what's going to happen eventually to those people who just continue to choose not to change. You know who you are. Your ass just sits there and you do the same shit every single day of your life. You don't help nobody. You don't work. You ain't worried about nobody. You just continue to do the same shit, and you run to the church when you feel like you might be going to hell. Something worse is on the horizon for a lot of people. And what I want to say is that the state in which you die, right? If you die, whatever state your mind you die in. Now here's where it's so important to guard this mind from anything, because if you die in a certain state, like mentally, that's going to affect your afterlife, right? How you navigate. So if you do something to yourself in a lifetime that messes up your psyche, your eternal, like or if you get your life gets too traumatic for you and you just check out, right? And they kind of show this in the movie, and that's why I gotta give examples of the movie, because it helps us understand the movie. What's that Disney movie? I'm forgetting it. Let me look it up real quick. Y'all bear with me. I gotta look up something real quick. The movie about the afterlife. Soul. Yeah. Soul. That's right. Okay. So in the movie Soul, okay, so check this out, right? So one of the characters, one of the spirits, whatever, that was in the afterlife, the trauma, right, that spirit went through, they were walking in like this desert wasteland, they were just, how did it go? They were walking around in just the middle of nowhere, just thinking about some traumatic experience. And they were just walking around lost souls, right? So lost souls do exist. They are out there where their mind state in certain lifetime is so messed up that when they die, they just get lost in the vastness of the spirit world. They get lost out there because they get so, and they have to go through like a whole journey just in that. Like there are beings out there, they're just walking around not knowing what to do because they had a traumatic experience in lifetime where they didn't heal, they didn't grow, right? So they're just out there walking. So in that movie Soul, you should definitely watch that movie because that's another movie that's very close to the afterlife. Very, very, these people must have been on psychedelics as well. Like to be able to conceptualize that movie Soul like that, that was like a very accurate depiction of what it's like to die, what it was like after you die, right? That's why all these dreams and stuff, they try to teach you that, right? All these dreams and stuff are important. You gotta lose your ego. Like all these things you hold so dear, they don't really matter. What matters is your growth progression and these soul journeys that you go on. So watch that movie Soul. It helps you get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. But you, like I said, you can do anything after the afterlife. Like you said, you can go into the light. You can choose not to, but you know, just know that reincarnation is real, and that you come back for reasons. Now, whatever state of mind that you're in when you die, it can affect your soul journey. It could put you on a whole different soul journey. Actually, it could just mess your stuff all up. So I just wanted to talk about what happens if you die, part 4. Okay, there's this one you gotta really, this one I think is really important, like one of the most important ones, because that's why I really wanted to get on camera and talk about this tonight, because I feel like there's a lot of death that out there, and people need to understand, especially as wars happen and different things. People need to understand what really happens after you die. That there are a lot of this soul is so big out there. It's so big in the universes and afterlife and so much and so forth, that you must take care of yourself. And your soul, you'll figure out your soul journey. Don't worry about that. If you're lost hearing these videos, if you're lost about your soul journey, if you don't know, like you have no idea, you're new coming this, don't worry. Just everyone's on their own path. And so, like some of us were, like I'm talking about this more for our reincarnation. Some of us were animals before, right? Some of us actually lived life to animals, and it's our first few lifetimes as a human, and we're still trying to figure out this whole thing, and could we raise a certain level of consciousness? So there are beings that do get upgraded because they lived a good life, or they lived a certain life in their, let's say they were a wolf, or they were a bear, or some kind of other animal, right? And they lived and they progressed and raised in consciousness after dying and being reborn, and even as animals, they then come back as humans. Even some people's pets come back as their children. Okay, I'm gonna get too far ahead of what happens when we die. All right, so this episode is Black Baby Jesus here, Kwame Selassie here to share what happens as we die, part 4. Just continue to think about these things. Just remember, it's all about you. You make the decisions. It's all about you. You can save yourself, save your world. All right, so y'all be easy, man. I'll be back. Next video, what happens if you die, part 5.